I never shouted, never begged for an explanation, never demanded to know why. I simply turned away and walked out. No farewell, no parting words, just quiet finality. She had expected me to cling to her, to plead for a chance to make sense of it all, to fight for her affection. She believed she held all the control. But instead, I vanished. Now she's the one searching, drowning in regret and longing. Yet the man she remembers is gone. He no longer exists. The warnings have been there for a while. Late nights at the office, the way her phone never left her hand, the faint, insincere smiles that never touched her eyes. I noticed every shift, but I chose to trust her. That trust shattered one evening. While she was in the shower, her phone lit up on the nightstand. A message appeared. I can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? The words felt like a blade. My hands tightened, my chest constricted. But outwardly, I remained still. No yelling, no accusations. Just silence as I stared at undeniable proof that the woman I loved had already given herself to someone else. Right then, I made my choice. I wouldn't beg for scraps of loyalty from someone who had already discarded me. That night, while she slept soundly beside me, oblivious and certain she'd won whatever unspoken battle she thought we were in, I began to pack. I moved quietly, taking only the essentials. I left behind the gifts, the mementos, the pieces of the life we had once built together. They meant nothing now. Standing by the bedroom door, bag over my shoulder and keys in hand, I paused. Not because I doubted my decision, but because I knew this moment would haunt her for years. I took one slow breath, turned the handle, and slipped out without a sound. By dawn, I was miles away. She probably woke expecting a normal morning, stretching, checking her phone, maybe even reading a message from the man she had chosen over me. But then she would have noticed the emptiness beside her, the absence of warmth. Her eyes would scan the room, the half-empty wardrobe, the clear nightstand, my missing keys. Realization would flood in. Panic would spike her pulse. She would call my phone, only to reach voicemail. Again and again. Nothing. Then came the text. Where are you? What's happening? Why aren't you answering? I gave her nothing. That's when it sank in. I wasn't upset. I wasn't waiting. I was gone. At first, she made tea, telling herself it was just a temporary space I needed, that I'd be back once I cooled down. But hours became days. Days turned into weeks, and her certainty began to crack. Her messages shifted. First confusion. Can we talk? Let me explain. Then irritation. This isn't fair. Say something. Then raw desperation. I messed up. Please answer. I can't live like this. I miss you. I miss us. Every word fell into silence. She reached out to friends, searched my social media, revisited our old spots. Has he said anything about me? She'd ask. Please, do you know where he is? But no matter how far she looked, she could only find the truth I'd left behind. No one could reach her now. I had erased myself completely from her reality. The more desperately she searched, the deeper the truth cut. She had lost me forever. She was the one drowning now, haunted by regret, chasing a shadow that would never return. She never gave up. She convinced herself that if she could just find me, just look me in the eye and speak her piece, I might let her back in. One evening, it finally happened. I was seated in a calm, refined cafe, quietly drinking my coffee, settled into a life rebuilt, stronger, wiser, untouchable. A sharp, startled breath shattered the quiet, and I glanced up. She stood at the entrance, motionless, staring at me as if she'd seen a ghost. Time had changed her, but not in the way it had changed me. I had grown. She had unraveled. Her once assured stance wavered, and her face carried the unmistakable weight of remorse instead of pride. Slowly, she stepped forward. "It's you," she whispered, voice quivering. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again." I didn't flinch. No shock, no anger, no hint of the man she once knew, because that chapter of my life had closed long ago. She clutched the back of the chair opposite me, as though it could steady her in the face of my indifference. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. "Please." I let the silence stretch as I took another slow sip of coffee. What is there left to say? I replied evenly. Her breath caught. She had been ready for rage or heartbreak, but not this emptiness. That's when she knew she had truly lost me. She sat down, fingers gripping the edge of the table as if it might keep her from falling apart. Once so full of confidence, she now carried only sorrow. "I've been searching for you," she said quietly. "I know," I answered, leaning back. Her brow tightened. "You knew?" I nodded, sipping again. "Of course. I just didn't care." The sentence landed like a blow. Her mouth opened as if to argue, but no words came. We both understood this wasn't about my leaving. It was about my refusal to ever look back. "I made a terrible mistake," she said, her voice cracking. "I thought I wanted something else. I was wrong." I tilted my head. "So, are you here because you regret the choice you made, or because the life you traded me for didn't work out?" She inhaled sharply but didn't speak. Her silence was its own confession. I gave a low, humorless chuckle. That's what I thought. She reached across the table, her hand trembling toward mine. "Please," she pleaded, "give me a chance to make things right." I looked at her hand, then at her face. There's nothing left to fix. Tears welled in her eyes. "So that's it? You're really done with me?" I rose from my seat, adjusting my jacket. I was done the moment I walked away. Her expression crumbled under the weight of reality. She had spent months convincing herself that finding me, saying the right words, would bring me back. Now she finally saw the truth. There was nothing left to salvage. "I don't know how to live with this," she murmured, voice breaking. I looked at the woman who had once been my world. "Then maybe you shouldn't have let me go." The words cut clean and deep, but it was already too late. I turned and headed for the door, never once glancing back. She could replay her mistakes endlessly, drown in what-ifs, but she would never have me again. Once, she had held the power to leave me behind. Now, the roles were reversed. She remained in that chair long after I was gone, the cafe buzzing with laughter, clinking glasses, and life moving forward. But she stayed frozen, locked in the moment she lost me, staring at the empty seat across from her. A single tear slid down her cheek, not only for me, but for the version of herself she destroyed when she betrayed me. That version would never return. Outside, the evening air was crisp, and I felt lighter than I had in years. I hadn't wasted anger or pleas. I had simply moved on. That was justice no apology could undo. Some people don't grieve losing you. They grieve losing the life they had with you. Once you understand that, you never turn back.